Every third person in Switzerland is armed. Why is there no gun crime? This is a place where every third man owns a firearm. Handguns and semi-automatics are legal. 2/3 of all the guns are unregistered. Hunting rifles don't even require a permit. It's not in South America or the United States. It's smack in the middle of Europe. The homicide rate is 13 times lower than in the US. It's a whopping 75 times lower than in El Salvador. How is it possible? Europe is mostly a gunless continent. Private firearm ownership is banned or restricted. But Switzerland is an exception. This unique country is not part of the European Union. It has its own currency instead of the euro. And it has always been neutral in international conflicts. Switzerland hasn't taken part in a war since 1815, but it is one of the most armed nations in Europe. These two things are actually connected. Switzerland has military service for men over 18. The Swiss army is not expected to fight abroad. It's basically an armed militia for home defense. Once a man completes the service, he may keep his rifle. He will still need to get a permit. Around a quarter of Swiss men choose to keep the rifle. That's one of the most common reasons for having a gun. Most Americans say they keep guns for protection, but Swiss gun owners keep their firearms for defense. This means the guns stay unused. About 50% of all privately owned guns in Switzerland are rifles, but handguns are also legal. Moreover, Switzerland had no gun registry before 2008. It was forced to introduce a registry by European regulators. But only firearms, which changed hands since 2008, are recorded. The number of registered guns is around 900,000. But the total number of guns in the country is more than 3.4 million. Switzerland only has 8.7 million people. Single-shot and multi-barreled hunting rifles don't require a permit. However, all this permissiveness stops at the door. You can't get a concealed carry permit. You can't even take the gun out of your home. Of course, there are exceptions for hunters and marksmen, but they can only transport the guns from point A to point B. All guns must be unloaded while en route. If they stop for a cup of coffee, it's a felony. Sports shooters are allowed to shoot at the firing range. Licensed hunters are allowed to hunt in designated places. That's it. There are no gun shows, no gun-friendly zones, no stand-your-ground laws. It was much laxer in the 1990s. Each canton was free to pass its own firearm regulations. The first federal restrictions were imposed in 1999. 20 years later, semi-automatic guns were restricted. They are now only sold to registered shooting club members. The membership cannot be recent. Is Switzerland safer than countries with stricter gun control? It's hard to say. The murder rate is just 0.5 per 100,000 people. In the United States, it's 6.5, but in the Netherlands, it's 0.6. Yet it's virtually impossible to legally buy a gun there. On the other hand, Switzerland does have mass shootings. It also has a relatively high number of gun deaths. The vast majority of them are suicides. So don't expect to see armed citizens if you visit Switzerland. But don't even think of invading it.